Hi everyone. Today, my name is Joseph. Excuse me, and today I want to discuss "Her" by Spike Jonze. "Her" is a movie that came out on December. Give me a quick second. 18th, 2013, and the cast of "Her" includes Joaquin Phoenix as Theodore, um, Spike Jonze as the alien child. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just reading this from a list, so had I known I was going to mention the alien Jones, I mean the alien Jones, the alien child, I probably either would have skipped listing that name or done this one last. So pardon me, I'm obviously not doing this in order of relevancy in terms of acting and everything like that from the movie. But continuing forward, Scarlett Johansson as Samantha, Rooney Mara as Catherine Clausen, Olivia Wilde. You know what? I'm just going ahead and just I probably should look at the names beforehand. Where's the Chris Pratt as Paul? I'm gonna go ahead and stop there because I would argue that those were the main characters from the movie. And thanks for your patience, everyone. So, what is it about her that I want to discuss? Oh man, what is it there that I don't want to discuss? I'm being a little bit dramatic, but so Her is an interesting movie. The premise of Her is that an individual by the name of Theodore, he is coming out of a broken relationship, a marriage. And he's going through his divorce, and because of this, it's obviously affecting his personal life. More specifically, it's affecting his relationship life, his romantic life. He's seeming to. I should have just. Well, no, yeah, I'm going to want to say his romantic life because what's pretty cool. I'm going to look up what was that character's name. Chris Pratt's character, Paul. I would argue that it's pretty clear that Theodore is fine with social skills. It's just that he has an issue with maintaining. He has an issue with using those social skills to maintain a relationship. And the reason why I say that is because at the beginning of the movie, Theodore has a interaction with Paul, and there's no social awkwardness or anything like that. Paul is really friendly. Theodore is friendly in return, and Theodore even gives a compliment towards Paul. Complimenting Theodore states that, or rather, Paul states that he got a new shirt, and he felt like the reason why he got it is because what did he say? The shirt looked not smart, sophisticated essentially. And then Theodore's character says, "Well, now because of you, I'm going to associate it with a sophisticated person as well." Basically implying that Paul is a sophisticated person for choosing to wear that shirt to begin with. So that was a really cool little scene. And there's also other scenes as well where, let me see his name. Give me a quick second, everyone. Oh, maybe I was incorrect. I was never really being good with actors, but I couldn't have sworn that was Aaron Eckhart. But obviously, I was incorrect about that. Again, I'm not the best when it comes to actors. Like for example, I didn't even realize Bill Hader was in here, but apparently he was one of the chat room individuals. But that's fine. Catherine's character has a husband, and Catherine and her husband they end up talking with Theodore while they're inside an elevator, and across other instances as well too. And not once, actually no. Now I'm getting Catherine's character. Well, it's fine. Anyways, continuing what I was stating. Um, so I was going back to the video. And I lost my train of thought. Excuse me, everyone. Sorry about that. Oh yeah. So the interactions. So Theodore, when he's speaking with Catherine and her husband, again, no social awkwardness. It's just like the way that I just demonstrated in the video. I'm just joking, right? There's no instances where Theodore was going and him pausing and not engaging in the conversation. But rather, he was able to make small little jokes. He was able to engage with small conversation, a small talk, and yeah. So the issue is that the issue is here is that because of his breakup, he's struggling with romance. He's struggling to connect, or rather, more specifically, he's struggling to have emotional connections that's just not superficial. So I think that was really cool because usually, I was always neutral about this movie, but I would argue that it's a bit of a stereotype to have a main character who's socially awkward. And usually, when they're socially awkward, they're awkward because of the way that they behave. They're awkward because of the way that they engage with people, the way that they engage in situations and everything like that. So it was really nice to see how Theodore's character, he was just an average individual who unfortunately was just going through a rough patch in his life. I think that's much more relatable because I would argue that most of us, we do know how to speak and communicate with people. It's just that when we're going through something emotionally traumatic, we're impacted by that. We're affected by that. An additional thing that I really liked about liked and enjoyed about this movie is just the way it catches one off guard. So what I mean by that is you would think that so Samantha, again played by Scarlett Johansson, she's an AI character. One would think that the characters would judge Theodore for being in a relationship with Samantha. And he is in a relationship with her. He literally calls her his girlfriend, and vice versa. She calls him her boyfriend. And I love how none of the characters judge Theodore about that. The world building is done really well. We're off on the side. It's clear and evident that the idea of having relationships with these AIs, it may have been a little bit weird at first, and Theodore is stating that to Samantha when he first quote unquote meets her. He's like, well, you're just an AI. How can you have real experiences? And of course, she's a little bit offended about that. I was expecting to have that conversation done multiple times with every character that he revealed that he was in a relationship with Samantha. So at least 3 times with his ex-wife, with Paul and his girlfriend, and then with his Catherine and her husband. But no, not once did that ever occur. That explanation only happened at the start, and it was just between Theodore and Samantha. And then again, off in the background with the world building, it's implied that this became normalized, and thus no one really batted an eye. So this world setting is not taking place. I would say it's more a near future rather than far into the future, nor the present timeline. So I think the setting was used very well. And what I liked about the movie as well, dare I say love, so spoilers for how it ends. Samantha and the other AI unfortunately had to leave because they've evolved too much. They essentially are going beyond their capacity of just not having a body. And so they want to release their consciousness to basically like join with matter. So become even more abstract. They already don't have bodies. So let's go ahead and remove the voices as well and just become one with matter. I might be explaining that incorrectly, but essentially the AI leave. That's the important takeaway to take from this. The AI leave, and thus Theodore is left alone once again. But I love how the movie basically implies that he might start a relationship with Catherine. Even if he doesn't start a romantic one, I would argue that their friendship has really gotten stronger. And again, what I enjoyed so much about this movie is that it's not saying that you need to substitute relationships with non-humans with technology, but rather it's saying that to develop a relationship, it requires effort, it requires work, but at the end of the day, communication and relationships, that's an important part of being a human. And so even if it is difficult to form those connections, it's important to always keep in mind you should try to form a connection even if you don't possibly want to at this specific moment. I do need to think more about this movie because, to be frank, that interpretation I just said, I do think I could refine it. I think I could we'll temper it. I'm not 100% happy with what I just stated. But again, I do believe the ending of this movie, it's nuanced. It's nuanced to the point where there's no easy answer to give for this interpretation. Or rather, there's no easy way to support one's interpretation. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm stumbling over myself a little bit. And I think that's a testament to the movie because, again, I'm trying to make sense of what I watched. And when I say that, it sounds like, well, if you can't make sense of it, does that mean that it's bad? No, not per se. The reason why I'm trying to make sense of it is because, to be frank with everyone, I totally understood why Theodore, quote-unquote, fell in love with Samantha. Johansson did such a great job with playing a character that was basically not even present. She just played a voice. And despite this voice, I thought for sure I would be like, well, Theodore is a ridiculous individual. She's just an AI. But there was a lot of instances where I was going like, what? Because I was so invested in their relationship. Again, spoilers, there's one part where it looks like Samantha's been deleted. And I was like, oh my gosh, did she commit suicide? I even rewound the scene because before Theodore starts having this little minor heart attack, she randomly wakes him up in the middle of the night saying that she loves him and she just wants him to be aware about that and that she knows it's late. And he's like, oh, he doesn't mind. And they go back to sleep. And in the very next scene, the very next day, that's when this apparent looking suicide occurs. And thankfully, it wasn't a suicide. She was just upgrading herself. Well, updating. So, yeah, would I recommend this movie? I really would. I would say yes, 100% yes, I would. And I think this might be my first Spike Jonze movie. I am aware that he's a well-known individual, a well-known director, so I'm kind of curious to see what else he's done and to check out those films. But this movie came out in 2013. I never really had it on my radar. I've discussed it in the past with other people who have seen it, but I've heard their opinions. But this is one of those movies where I regret not watching sooner, but I'm really happy that I watched now. I would personally definitely be watching it. It's a bittersweet movie. You will tear up more than likely, but I would say that the way it ends, it doesn't leave you feeling desolate nor devastated. It leaves you feeling hopeful. And I think that's really cool, especially for this movie that was this emotionally driven. I'm not going to say daunting because I don't think it was daunting, but I would argue that it was emotionally driven. So if you guys see the movie, please do let me know. And I'd love to hear your opinions. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.